Everybody, Rich with Prep You down here in the bunker. Hey, I'm sure by now everybody has heard about the federal appeal court ruling that upheld Illinois' rifle and magazine ban. And it's funny that we're calling it a rifle and magazine ban instead of just calling it what it is. It's PICA, Protect Illinois Communities Act. And the reason I say that is it affects much more than just modern sporting rifles and the magazines that go into those. It really affects a lot of handguns, semi-automatic handguns that are in common use today. All right, and basically because if you can't put a lower magazine in that firearm is illegal, which makes a big deal because it really gets into the point, and this is why I'm so keyed in on a lot of these the Second Amendment stuff. You spend a lot of your hard-earned money buying the stuff that's behind me and the stuff that's in our food cabinet and stuff like that to protect yourself in economic downturns, or if you lose your job, you have food for you and your family. If society turns to hell, you have the ability to still feed your family and protect your family and protect the stuff that you buy. That's why I'm so into the Second Amendment. Other than the fact that it's the Second Amendment and it's your right. It's a God-given right. I don't care what politicians do. It's a God-given right to protect yourself and others. It's just, basic brain sense. But that's why the whole thing with, they're calling it the assault weapons ban. Well, yeah, it does, but it also, there's a lot of firearms that can't be sold. Okay, Rich, what do you mean? Well, when I worked in the range and the ruling came down, obviously all the modern sporting rifles were pulled off the wall. Anything that was semi-automatic, you couldn't get magazines over 15, anything over 15 rounds. You couldn't buy those magazines anymore. But what also happened was many firearms got pulled out of the cases that people couldn't buy anymore, for all sorts of reasons. They carried too much ammo. The magazines can't be interchangeable with a lower, threaded barrels, just different things that pulled those pistols off that are really for self-defense and home protection. And so is the modern sporting rifle. I mean, you get one person coming to your door and wants your stuff, pistol's fine. What if you have 3 or 4? I don't think that pistol is going to last very long unless you're carrying 2 magazines with you at the same time. So really, it affects a lot more. So you all know it was a 2-1 ruling in favor of PICA for the state of Illinois. But let's go into a couple little things. I read several articles, and if you go back and you look at the picture that I'm using for this, the thumbnail, you will see that this is from Friday, November 3rd. The author reporter is Peter Hancock. Also with Peter Hancock is Hannah Missel. And I hope I pronounced your name correctly. Probably didn't. I'm not very good with names. And they're with the capitalnewsillinois.com. So you can actually read this article on their thing, or just Siri it. Just Siri, Illinois, or PICA and the federal ruling. So this ruling came down on Friday, November 3rd. 2-1 ruling Friday. A federal court of appeal ruled that Illinois' assault weapons ban, they're calling it that, I'm just reading what they put, does not violate the United States Constitution, setting up a likely appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court. Likely, I think it's a done deal. It's a sure thing. Even if it went the other way, even if it was found unconstitutional, I'm sure the governor and the attorney general in the state of Illinois would have taken it to the Supreme Court. It was going there anyhow. All these are going there anyhow. All right. So the Second Amendment to the Constitution recognizes an individual to keep and bear arms. Of that, there is no doubt the majority opinion began citing a string of recent Supreme Court cases. But as we know from long experience with other fundamental rights, such rights as free speech, the right to peacefully assemble, the right to vote, and the right to free exercise of religion, even the most important personal freedoms have limits. And that's how they started their opinion in favor of it being constitutional. All right, so little bit of history here. All right, so these are three consolidated cases that challenged the state's assault weapons ban, as well as local ordinance enacted in Cook County, Chicago, and Naperville. And this was all in response to the Highland Park mass shooting from 2 4th of Julys ago. So once it was enacted, January 1st, 2023, the new law sparked immediate challenges in both state and federal court. The Illinois Supreme Court upheld the law in August against narrow challenges under the state constitution, but the broader legal issues were aired in federal court. If you remember, if we go back to the Illinois Supreme Court ruling, they never made a ruling on the constitutionality of this. They were going to let the federal courts do it. They only ruled on procedural stuff. That's all they ruled on. Well, now we have the federal appeals court in a 2-1 decision, okay? But the broader legal issues were aired in federal court where judges in different districts reached different conclusions. So let's remember this. One judge in the Southern District of Illinois ruled in April that the law violated the Second Amendment of the Constitution. But then two judges in the Northern District said, hold on, came to a complete opposite decision. And once that happened, the three cases were then consolidated in the appeals to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals. Okay, and that's where this decision is coming down from. So you had the three judges you had were Judge Diane Woods, Judge Frank Easterbrook, and Judge Michael Brennan. So in the majority opinion was Diane Wood and Frank Easterbrook, and then Michael Brennan wrote the dissenting. He was the one that was against this. So Judge Diane Woods wrote the majority opinion, joined in concurrence by Judge Frank Easterbrook, while in a 44-page dissent, nearly as long as the opinion itself, Judge Michael Brennan wrote the state and municipal governments that enacted the ban failed to meet their burden to show that their bans are part of the history and tradition of firearm regulations. All right. He also ripped his colleagues' remarkable conclusion that personal ownership of assault-style weapons and high-powered magazines is not protected by the Second Amendment. The majority wrote the firearms banned under Illinois law are much more like machine guns and military-grade weaponry than those typically used for self-defense, like handguns. And the judge, Brennan, said, you are way out of bounds on this one. Brennan wrote that the AR-15 is a civilian, not a military weapon. No army in the world uses a service rifle that is only semi-automatic. And he's right. I don't think you can say anything to the opposite of that. And of course, you had different people with the state applauding this decision, and you had the people that were with, or the organizations that are with the different, the NRA, the Illinois Firearms Association, decrying this and saying we will send this forward to the Supreme Court. And all the while, this is in the midst, and this was my last video, the Illinois State Police are in the midst of a series of hearings on the part of the assault weapons ban that allowed gun owners to possess banned weapons and high-capacity magazine. The interesting thing, now I really haven't gotten a chance to see the entire decision, the 44 pages, which I'm going to get to, but nothing in the news. There was this article, there was an article from NBC, an article from CBS. Nowhere in there did they talk about if having to register these firearms so you can keep them is constitutional or not. So I'll have to take a look, and I don't even know if that was really brought up in the original court cases, but we will see. So coming to a YouTube channel near you soon, we will have the second meeting with the state police and on the hearing as far as registering your firearms. So, and I'm sure down the road we will hear more about this going to the Supreme Court to see if it holds muster with the United States Supreme Court. And that's about it. So now you know a little bit more about the story, about what's going on with the legal part of this, and that the judges in this were extremely far apart. Unfortunately, the two that were, and I don't know where they get their information, even considering these to be like machine gun style firearms and weapons of war. But unfortunately, it went 2-1. But like I said, we're down the road to the U.S. Supreme Court, where no matter who would have won this level, it would have gone to the Supreme Court. So there you go. There's a little bit more information on how they ruled, why they ruled, and what they were saying. If I get a chance, I'll get a hold of the 44-page full report, and we'll do a deep dive on that one. So that's it for now. From the bunker, saying hopefully you had a good weekend. Hopefully you're safe. Stay safe. And please, like we always say when we leave, first of all, thank you, subscribers. Really appreciate it. Second of all, always be aware of your surroundings, no matter where you are, what you're doing, or who you're with. Also, have enough food, medicine, ammunition, and water to shelter in place for 3, 6, 9 months and beyond, and at least 72 hours of food to get you to your bug out location or to your next cache that you have set up somewhere down the road. And please, please prep like your life depends on it, because it does. Take care. Thank you very much. See you next time.